Now, from CBS 4 News, this is News and Views with Elliot Rodriguez.
Good morning. This is the final weekend of Black History Month, but we continue to learn about African American history all year long. Some of us got a big lesson in it this week. On Tuesday, the Dade County Bar Association unveiled a commemorative plaque over a drinking fountain on the 6th floor of the old Dade County Courthouse in downtown Miami. The plaque is over a fountain that was once segregated along racial lines. This is a very dark part of Miami's history and hard for many young people to even imagine, but that was the reality in the days of segregation. And Miami was very much a part of the segregated South. The plaque over the drinking fountain also came with an apology from the Miami-Dade County Bar Association for the horrors that segregation brought to so many people back when it was the law of the land in the state of Florida. Now, joining me to talk more about this morning are attorneys Joseph Serota, who was one of the leaders in redesigning the courthouse, and attorney Marva Wiley. She's president of the Gwen Cherry Bar Association. Thank you both for being here. Joe, tell me the genesis of this idea, how you came up with it, and until the day that you were actually able to put it up.
Well, I've been involved in restoration efforts at the Dade County Courthouse for over 10 years. And we've been successful in restoring the lobby and restoring the ceremonial courtroom. And during the course of our history and our learning about this process, we became aware that the actual architectural plans of the Dade County Courthouse provide for separate water fountains. In other words, when the Justice Building, and this was really then the Justice Building, was designed, it was designed in a way that there was institutionalized segregation and racism. And during the course of our efforts, as much as we wanted to restore the history of the courthouse, we found that there was history as a part of this courthouse that we weren't particularly proud of, but history that we felt we needed to commemorate as well. And with Black History Month coming up, we thought this was the appropriate time to focus on those drinking fountains as a symbol of some of the past history that we're not so proud of.
Marva, what was the reaction from your fellow African-American attorneys when they found out about this idea?
I think the idea was well received among most. The notion that the Dade County Bar Association, which is the largest voluntary bar association in the state of Florida, would take the leadership in addressing this issue and acknowledging that history was very inspirational for most.
And what's been the reaction of people going into the courthouse since it's been up?
I think people their eyes are open. They are suddenly aware of a significant part of history that they would have had no reason to know about otherwise.
Now, you grew up in this community. I know you know a lot of it, but what have you learned since all of this about how hard it was for people who practice your profession, African Americans, back then to do their jobs?
While I knew previously that there were separate courthouses in some instances, I did not know what H.T. Smith gave us when he made his comments at the ceremony, that a black attorney could not represent his clients if in court. He had to have a white lawyer. A black lawyer could not address a judge directly. So that was part of the history that was even enlightening for me, because I was not aware of that previously.
Joe, what do you say to people who say, oh, that's terrible, but those days are past. Why are we reliving this? Why are we opening up these old wounds? And why are you having this in the courthouse where so many people go to do business every day?
Well, when I first thought about doing this, and I spoke to Tim Ravage, who was then the Dade Bar president, about it, we talked about that, and we thought there might be some reaction. But remarkably, there was very little of that. I think that our community has matured, and perhaps it's the election of Barack Obama in part, that the reaction both on the African American side and the white lawyer side was more like, you know, this is something worth mentioning, and it's something that, while on one hand we're ashamed of, and that's why the apology came, at the same time I think we're all mature enough to deal with it without looking back and saying, why are you doing this? We're doing this because this is our history. And this is a history that we never want to repeat, but it's still our history, and it's the right thing to do is to recognize it.
Well, I would agree with you 100%. I'm wondering, in the younger generation of African Americans, how aware they are of this part of our history.
I don't think there's much awareness at all in the youth. Gwen Cherry Black Women Lawyers Association has a program at Lily C. Evans Elementary, which is an inner city elementary school, and just last week we were there having one of our sessions. And when you ask about Black History Month, when you ask about segregation, there are certain things that the children know basically by rote. They know about Rosa Parks. They know that was Montgomery, Alabama. And there is a concept that the South is actually north for us, and we weren't really a part of that. Part of what we intend to do in the next coming months is to take them on a Black History tour to help put so many of these things in context and help them learn more about where they live.
Fantastic. And Joe, finally, I know this is part of the redesign. Is it the redesigning or the?
It's really the restoration.
Restoration of the courthouse.
Both with private donations. I've raised a lot of money over the years to do that, but we've also had money from the state, and as a result, there is very strictly a restoration. It's not a renovation.
And how is that coming out?
Well, we've completed the lobby. The lobby now looks as though it looked when the courthouse was open. If you walked in the door, that's what it looked like. And we've done 6-1, which is the ceremonial courtroom, which is the one with all the famous Al Capone trials and things like that, and we've completed that as well. So at the moment, the restoration efforts are at an end, and that's why this was so appropriate, because we felt we couldn't be restoring the history of this courthouse, which we have done now, without recognizing this history. And when we became aware of the architectural plans and these drinking fountains, we just thought that, especially with Black History Month coming up, that this was the best way to really end the restoration efforts.
Sort of put a period at the end.
Yes.
And really be true to the history of the courthouse. Thank you both very much for being here. Joe Serota, Marva Wiley, appreciate you being on our show.
Thank you.
All right, when we come back, how healthy is your heart? How you can find out for free when News and Views continues. Don't go away.